listen, you're going to have actors come on your show and tell you that they hate it and that they thrive in the room and that they prefer to drive 45 minutes to these auditions every day. I am the exact opposite. I do not mind auditioning with my pajamas or just my panties on sometimes. Sometimes I just have on a shirt, and I'm going to be honest about that.
Welcome back to Under Oath. Today we're talking to actress and writer Tamberla Perry. Tamberla, can you hear me?
I can hear you just great.
I got to tell you, I'm a little upset with you. It's hard to say. You made me cry the other night. And I watched the premiere of your show, Brilliant Minds, and you had me crying. I don't like that. That's not nice.
You know what? I tell people all the time, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. But then I also say, but I'm also very happy to hear that.
Yeah, that was really emotional. Without getting too much into it, it dealt with a mother who wasn't recognizing her kids, and it was just so sad. And they were taking the kids away, and your characters were trying to keep the kids. It was just brutal. Is every show like that, or is that just the first one?
Well, I don't want to spoil it, but that's what our show is. Our show is really about getting to the crux of the problem. Our show is about mental health, and you're not going to come into our hospital. First of all, let me just talk about a little bit what Brilliant Minds is. Brilliant Minds, the show inspired by the life and work of a world famous, renowned physician, Oliver Sacks. And it follows Dr. Oliver Wolf, played by Zachary Quinto, and his team of interns and myself as we explore all things the mind. So our show is about, you're not going to watch our show week to week and have patients come in the hospital and get sick from their heart attack and get a triple bypass surgery and go on out on their merry way. That's not this show. Our show is really about getting to the root of what is causing the issue for you in the brain. So just like when you walk into your therapist's office, you can't expect to be fixed in an hour. You're not going to get fixed in an hour on our show. It may take weeks, months, years on our show. Our show is about adaptability. So to answer your question about that happening every week, yes, that is going to happen every week. You may not be bawling every week, but you are going to see cases that are real-life cases based on real-life situations where we are really getting to the root of the problem.
Now, I did watch the first show. I might not be as quick as I'd like to be, but I guess Zachary's character is like he's put in charge of this unit. And are you guys residents? Or are you guys first years?
So, no, I am the chief of psychiatry.
Okay.
And I bring him in to be my head of neurology. So we do have four wonderful interns working under us. Ashley Lathrope, Spence Moore II, Ari Krebs, and Alex McNichol. Those are our interns, and they are they're working with Oliver Sacks they're working with Oliver Wolf, Zachary Quinto's character, to really get to the business of the patients. So I bring Dr. Wolf, Zachary, into my hospital so that we can create this dream team of neuropsychology.
I was watching that, and I assume because they did it really quickly, I guess because they really wanted us to dive deep into it. They were like, well, there's like a past relationship, whether you guys work together or something else like that. And I'm sure they're going to hash that out as the seasons go. But, it was a very solid show. I really liked it. The direction you guys are going in, I can't wait. I guess Zachary's character has, I don't even want to try the word, but it's basically face blindness.
Yes, he does. He has face blindness, so he doesn't really recognize. He hones in on the features of people, like very distinct features. So, yes, if he meets you one time, he's not necessarily going to remember you the second, third, fourth, fifth, or even 20th time that he meets you, but he really has to hone in on your voice or certain characteristics about your face in order to recognize who you are.
When I was trying to understand what the character was about, I have a son on the spectrum. So I was trying to figure out, is it OCD? Is it just this face blindness? Is it a touch of Asperger's? I assume they're going to really, move in a little more on that as the season goes on.
They will move into that. It's not Asperger's. It's the face blindness. And he was dealing with it as a child. And in the show, we go back and forth from his childhood to his present day. So we'll get to really understand why he is the way he is, his relationship with his mother, his father, You'll get to see all those things over the next 12 episodes. We have 12 more episodes of this season to go.
Now, this is a very serious show. It's a drama, deals with real life issues, made me cry. But your history is really, in sketch comedy and improv in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm so glad you bring that up. My background, I met my husband at Second City in Chicago. My husband is a writer, and he's a playwright and a screenwriter. But we came from sketch comedy. We both were a part of sketch comedy troupes in Chicago for a very long time. But in Hollywood, Hollywood loves to cast me in a drama. But one of the things that I love about this role is that I don't know that the writers imagined her having as much levity as I bring to it, but they have been so collaborative in allowing me to bring a bit of levity to Carol that I really genuinely enjoy.
Now, I don't want to compare this to another show, but it had a house quality about it. Your character, the way you treat a brilliant doctor, and the doctor doesn't like to follow rules and everything. But there's a different take because you could see instead of like an addiction, he clearly has this condition where he has to suffer and, try to survive with it.
Yeah, a lot of people have compared it to House. I did not watch a lot of House when it was on, but I can see how people make the comparison. Hey, if we have the success of House, I'll take the comparison. It's fine by me.
The hard thing is I remember watching the issue, and I remember, the first episode, and he doesn't like to follow the rules. He completely departs from it. He goes into their home. He doesn't just keep it in the hospital. He wants to know who they are and everything else. And that causes a lot of problems with the people who run the hospital. So I assume he's going to have somebody at the hospital who doesn't quite like the way he does things.
Absolutely. And, let me say this. I was at church yesterday, and one of the members of my church pulled me to the side, and she said, I love the show. I was in tears, the episode. She said, but this is the show. You guys are the type of doctors that we pray about. So, and I said, well, what do you mean? She said, doctors who go to your house, doctors who actually care about you, doctors who really want to get to why whatever is happening to you is happening to you. She was like, so that's what we all want. And that's, Oliver Wolf, he has some unorthodox methods of practicing medicine, but that's how we know that he cares. He literally wants to step into the shoes of his patients to see what's going on with them. And that's one of the reasons we love him. And yeah, that's going to get him in trouble at a lot of other institutions, but that's also one of the reasons that I bring him to this hospital, because I knew that he is going to be the one that cares the most about these patients.
Being a doctor is tough, and people don't understand that there's a coldness about medicine because a lot of times you have to look at the body as a machine, and you have to be able to deal with tragedy. And that's a very hard thing if you're very emotional and you have a lot of empathy. I was a medic in the Army, and I can tell you that I wasn't built for it because when somebody died on me, it stayed with me. It still stays with me. So it's a tough profession, and to be able to be emotional and be able to hold those in check too. I mean, how do you think a lot of doctors, deal with that?
Yeah, that's it. I will tell you something. I have to have a little procedure coming up. It's not scheduled or anything. But I was reading reviews about a doctor. I gotta get a little hip surgery thing, and I was reading reviews about this doctor that I really want to go to. And all the reviews said, he's great. He's not warm. He's not fuzzy. He's actually kind of cold, but he gets the job done. I'm not looking for a friend. I'm looking for an expert at whatever the condition is. And I read those, and at first I was like, well, they're right. I'm not going to make friends. But you do want somebody who shows a little bit of compassion, because when you think about like having to go under the knife and be put to sleep for a procedure, you want to know that they really do care about it. And I see that right now in a lot of the physicians that I see. It's that I feel like we're all numbers, and I feel like that they don't have time. And, they have so many people in the waiting room, they're understaffed, and that it's just hard to give everybody that equal attention that we all deserve. So I really hope that it's something that our show highlights, that is a necessity, is a need out in the real world of medicine.
It's a tough field because, for example, I'm also an attorney, and I can tell you that doctors, they're always worried about getting sued. They're always worried about because automatically when somebody dies, people go, "Well, you should have been able to save them." People die, and that's a hard thing to deal with. And when the doctors are always afraid of it, it's troubling.
Wait, so let me backtrack. So you were a medic and you're an attorney?
Yeah, believe it or not, and a comic book writer and a stand-up comedian. So a little bit of a lot of things.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. Are you also a notary?
Yes. Yeah. I'm actually licensed in 18 states. So I could probably sign a lot of things in a third of the country. So we're pretty good with that.
Oh man, that's impressive. That is very impressive.
Well, Second City is pretty impressive too. I mean, being on stage, and a lot of people don't understand there's a huge difference between being on stage and being on television. You act in 18-second, increments on TV while you could be on stage. Like if I do stand up, I'm up there for 50 minutes. It just seems like forever.
You have a 50-minute set. Yeah. No, it's a huge difference. And my career started on stage in Chicago. Like I said, Second City, the Steppenwolf Theater, Goodman Theater, Looking Glass Theater, some of the Black Box Theater, Congo Square. I've done theater in New York theater. So it is such a huge difference, and it's nothing like it. It is nothing like theater. The immediate response from your audiences, and every show is different. In theater, every single show it's different because you're responding to your partners. You're listening differently from day to day, 8 shows a week. You're responding with your audience. Theater is my roots. And if I can get back to it every year, I would love to do that. It's a little bit more difficult now with kids. But yeah, theater is where I was born.
My daughter's in a BFA program at University of Florida, and we talk about the stage and the respect for it. That when you're on a stage, you have to respect that. It's not just you going off, it's understanding the responsibility. And I wonder if that carries over into television anyway.
It absolutely does. I think the listening that you have to do. So in theater, if you go up, like you have to listen so intently so that you know what you're saying next. In television, we get maybe 3 or 4 different takes. In theater, you get that one shot. And if you go up on a line, you have to keep going. The show must keep moving on, keep going on. But the transition, the transition from theater to film and screen and TV, it was a difficult one because, in theater, you're so big. Things are so big because you have to talk to the back of the house. You have to project. Things are just big so that your audiences of 2, 3, 4, 500 people can see every movement that you do. And for television, you have to bring that all the way down. You have to bring it so far down. So the transition can be difficult. But in theater, there's so much more, I want to say so much more depth to a role that we're bringing. But because I feel like it's bigger to bring things down. I mean, it's easier to bring things down than to make things really big. So the transition from theater to screen, to me, might be a little bit more easy than the transition from screen to stage.
Now, when you get a character and they say, hey, you're going to play this, you're that chief administrator, you're the chief doctor, because I know you were also on The Good Fight and you played a judge. And a lot of people don't know the intricacies of being a judge and the things they have to deal with. How much basically research do you do when you're saying, okay, you got to play this character? Do you do in depth or you go, listen, I'm going to make it my own?
There's a combination of it. There's a combination. So specifically with The Good Fight, my aunt was a judge. One of my very good friends from college is a judge. So I was able to draw from those ladies for that character. And then for this one, I do have many, many friends who are doctors. I don't have a lot of psychiatry or psychology friends. But for this show, we did have a wonderful psychiatrist on staff who I would speak to. I think I spoke to her about 6 or 7 of the episodes. And she walked me through what it is like to handle certain patients, different types of patients. Because as you know, being a psychiatrist and being a regular person listening to problems, you might react very differently to that person. So I had a psychiatrist as well as a hypnotherapist who taught me how to do hypnotherapy for one of the episodes. So, and in addition to those people, those wonderful people who I was able to ask all the questions, I also just leaned on or really pulled from the women in my life, my mother, my sisters, Diane Carroll, Regina King. Like this character, Dr. Carol Sears Pierce, is an amalgamation of all the different women in my life who I know and love and respect. And I just brought them all into her and created this character.
You know, I love that. I love that concept of, listen, I'm going to put everything I can into it. And your show, a lot of times in a show like yours, they could say, well, he can't do this, but he's got this weird superpower that he can be fast, think faster, do it like it's like the Good Doctor or something. You guys don't do that. You just show somebody who's caring. He's such a caring person. It's not like a superpower. He's just a really decent human being.
And I think that is the superpower because, you know, like we talked about earlier, people just don't have time. They don't have time. People have time. People don't have time to, people barely listen. And I think that's the thing about our doctors. Our doctors really do care, and that is the superpower of this hospital, is that we've created this dream team of neuropsychology to really get to the bottom of their patients' issues. So that is the superpower, and it's caring.
Now, when you first get in a role and they tell you you're reading the script, anything else like that, how much leeway do you give? Do you get to go to a writer, hey, listen, I think she would do it this way? Or do you just go, hey, listen, I'll do what they tell me to do?
You know, it's a combination of it. You know, so reading these scripts, when I auditioned for this, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for the first audition. I had 4 auditions for this. So the very first one, I think I only had, not even a full day, not even 24 hours. So you read the script, you glean as much as you can from the script and the context of the entire script about the character. And then I think what makes these characters interesting is what you bring to it. So writers don't want to see exactly what they've written on the page. They want to see what they've written on the page, but they want to see what you're going to bring to it. Because oftentimes your audition can change their minds. Like you can go in a direction that they hadn't even thought possible. And I feel like that's one of the things that I was able to bring to this character in writing it. I don't know that they wrote it to have some levity. This character, I feel like I brought a bit of levity to her that the writers did not intend, but they liked it. And because Michael Grassi, our showrunner and creator, is so collaborative, the amount of levity that he's allowed me to bring to her was something that I don't think that they set out to do.
You know, you had mentioned something about interviewing and having to audition. And auditions are so different than they used to be because you used to have to go into a room with hundreds of people, and now you send a tape in. So you don't have to go through that first deal with hundreds of people, and then you get called back differently. I mean, how is it for you adjusting to that, let's just say, new reality?
Listen, you're going to have actors come on your show and tell you that they hate it and that they thrive in the room and that they prefer to drive 45 minutes to these auditions every day. I am the exact opposite. I do not mind auditioning with my pajamas or just my panties on sometimes. Sometimes I just have on a shirt, and I'm going to be honest about that. I do not mind auditioning from the comfort of my bedroom. It's more comfortable. I'm able to submit the best audition that I would have wanted to do in the room at a casting office. So it's been one of the greatest joys of my career from auditioning from, and I've worked a lot from it. I've booked a lot from tape and auditioning from home. It's our new reality. And I think some casting offices are coming back, but right now I really do think that that's going to be the reality of the business. It's just auditioning from home, the first couple of rounds of auditions.
Well, I love that. We have about a minute left. Why don't you tell people how we can watch your show?
Brilliant Minds premieres Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, and it's right after The Voice, and you can stream us on Tuesdays on Peacock. Y'all get into this show. It is so different than any of the other shows that you've seen right now on television. Monday nights, right after The Voice on NBC.
And if you're a big crier, bring a lot of Kleenex. Hope to talk to you again, Tamberla.
That's right.